Lachie, how are you, mate?
Going well, Jez or Jeremy. How you doing, mate? I'm going
Yeah,
really well.
yeah, good, man. Jez, Jeremy, Jem, whatever you want. It's all good. I've heard them all. It's good to have you on the podcast, brother.
Mate, it's great to be on, and even just from our quick little chat before, I know it's going to be awesome fun.
It's going to be good, man. I absolutely feel that way. I know when I came across you. I think, do you know Julian Waller?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right. Because he was the one, I knew there was a connection there, and I'm pretty sure he was the one that recommended that I reach out to you to have you on
oh,
in the first place. Because I
thanks,
had him
Jules.
on, yeah, for a few episodes before. So that was cool. That's really cool. He's the one that told me to check you out, and I had a look at your page and really love what you're about. I'm also really passionate about men's health and especially mental health. So um, all looked like a good fit,
It's cool how everything pieces together through mutual friends, and it's good having mutual friends that actually take the time to connect people. I think that's awesome.
isn't it? Yeah, I love that as well, man. It's the way of the world this day, this day and age. The whole not so much what you know and more who you know.
100%, man. 100%.
I never know what door is going to open. It's incredible.
It's interesting though. Like I don't know. You probably brought up the same way. It's like don't talk to strangers. Yet the only way to continue learning and growing is to get out and start meeting strangers.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have quite that upbringing. I was pretty lucky, I think, to be raised by a pretty open-minded mother, and I was home educated for my upbringing, and sort of yeah, got stuck into the work life pretty early and all that. So I've had a bit of a different upbringing than most, but,
Oh man,
but yeah,
this is awesome.
yeah, plenty
Well,
to talk
I
about for
want to ask
sure.
you questions about it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do it.
So anyway, I thought I would start by so I came across Lockie obviously through my mate Julian, which I've just said, and had a look through his Instagram page and immediately connected with what you do. And one of your posts in particular really stood out to me because it's a picture of you squatting down. I'll see if I can show the camera here. There we go.
Yeah,
That works. With a
yeah,
little
yeah.
sign that says financial struggle doesn't make you any less of a man. Now, this really hit home for me. Um, Finances are an area of my life that I have that's always been a pain point. Um, Definitely didn't grow up with a particularly strong role model or role models with my parents financially. Haven't managed to create much success in that department for myself. So I thought it'd be a cool idea to have a chat about this because I also notice, a lot of pain and suffering around on this topic within my circle. Um, so what I might do is I'll read this post out and then we'll just sort of get into it, have a bit of a chat about what it means. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
So Lockie writes, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I struggled financially for years. Although I was certain I would eventually create what I was working for, I still really struggled to feel like a man because I could hardly afford to buy anything. I couldn't afford basic living needs and holidays, presents, or any nice things. How I viewed myself, no, sorry, how I viewed myself was battered because for the most part, my amazing partner was helping me out and friends were giving me odd cash jobs. What I've since found is that for so many men and women, I'm sure,
Yeah, yeah.
that so many men allow their bank account to determine how much of a man they are. Your finances are just an extension of yourself. They don't necessarily define who you are. You can still be an incredible man, father, brother, and partner, no matter how much your bank account contains. Don't be like me and let it hold you back from enjoying the simple things. I'm not saying I don't work hard. I work tirelessly. You need to find a way to work towards changing your situation while still respecting who you are as a person. I love that.
I gave me goosebumps, man. Even just when you were reading that.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Well, it connects with me, man, on so many levels. On so many levels. Like when you're saying like because for me, my situation is that can't I don't see a way that I can increase my income based on my current skills and knowledge. And this is a limiting belief system within my head. I know it's not the truth, but I want to point that out. But um, I also don't see for myself a career in quotes, everyday job. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. I want that freedom. I don't want to climb the ladder, so to speak, throughout the system. And so the idea of going to school to upskill, learn something that's, you know, that's going to take me years to do, and then transfer that into a job and then climb the ladder of the job. Like, to me, that's just like, off the table, not interested.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then the where the vicious cycle comes in is that I go, but you know, if I'm only making this much money now and I need to be making this much, because I see money as the answer in my head, you know, that's like the problem up here. Like, that money is the answer. It's like, how do I get from A to B without more money to do so?
Yeah.
So like therein lies the problem. Can't see how to get more, but feel like I need more to get somewhere.
100%. And I was stuck in that as well. Like even before like my entrepreneurial, I think somewhat we're all entrepreneurial, we're all individual, but it's, to me, school suppressed who I was and what I thought I was capable of. And it sort of put me in a box. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat, but deep down, I speak to a lot of people, and you probably do as well, who are like, I feel like I'm here for something bigger. I'm supposed to be doing something else. But because we get put in this box from a young age, and it's like, you know, there's two paths for you. It's either get a trade or go to university. Anything else doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I got put into that box as well. So what happens when you're then like, I have to, in order to succeed in this box, I have to do this. It's taking you further away from who you are as an individual. And we start having these other thoughts and battles going on in our brain that confuse the fuck out of us, really. Am I on this? But
yeah, go for
it. Confuse us, right? So we get to a point where it's like, and I was like you, I was a chippy before I played rugby, then was a chippy, and I was always like, I feel like I'm better than this. This is how much I'm earning, but this is not going to allow me to have the lifestyle that I want. Like, I was earning, I think, maximum $1,000 a week, which was, don't get me wrong, this is awesome. But I was working a lot of hours for that and doing overtime, and often spending that on alcohol. So I was like, how do I turn into a person who's earning X amount a week, or, you know, to create that lifestyle and have more income and have more freedom and flexibility? And it constantly, I was destroying myself with that. And my first ever personal development event, and this is where, going back to, I think, where you're at, is like, we need to invest in ourselves to then have, once again, more self-esteem, actually be able to add more value, because who I was 5 years ago was not a person who could earn the type of money that I'm earning now, right? And there's that gap. We need to bridge that, and it's either hiring mentors, doing attending events, listening to podcasts like your podcast, reading books, like doing that stuff to start challenging our thoughts and beliefs, or educating us about stuff we don't really know. But when I got the opportunity to go to my first event, it was a $25 ticket, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, that's a carton of 4S Gold. Like, that's, it was a huge decision. Now I look at that and I laugh at it. Right.
Yeah.
And for me, then it was like a progression of events, because I was like, okay, I went to that event, and I just came away so motivated. And I was like, wow, I just spent, I think it might've been 6 hours at this event, and my mind's just blown. And so all of a sudden I'm an entrepreneur. Like, this is, I felt like I was unstoppable. But then I went back to my job, and that was slowly beat back out of me. So then I was like, I need to go to another event. And obviously you go to this, I went to some similar events around the same price range, and I was starting to hear the same thing over and over again. So then I was like, right, I need to go the level above. And that's when I was like, right, this is going to be a bit more of an investment. And every time I've had to break that barrier of like a financial investment or a time investment into myself to become that next level, because I know now, like, I'm not going to be able to, for one, like, I'm focused on, I feel the more money we earn is the more value we're putting out.
Yeah. Directly proportionate, surely.
100%. You know, you get to points where you plateau, or you start questioning yourself, and that's when it's like, okay, well, what is something that I haven't done before, and getting out of that comfort zone. And obviously you probably speak about it yourself. We tell people to get, and as a coach, I tell people to get out of their comfort zone. And whether that's, you know, having conversations, learning to speak, or just any kind of skill, but then it also extends financially as well as what you're willing to invest.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. I
And
know.
Sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know for me, like with that mentality, you know, that mental block around money of a place of scarcity, you know, my mindset is hold on to money because this is a scarce resource. And, you know, that fear is exactly what keeps it away from me, because I'm not in a place of allowing it to flow in and flow out. Because, you know, I've heard this said before, which I really love, and that money is just like, it's energy. Money is energy. You know, it flows, it comes and it goes, and that's its nature. And in order for more to come, you also need to be comfortable to spend in order to receive. You know, the in and out thing. Yeah,
100%. And yesterday I was in a position. I was in an Uber driver, in a car with an Uber driver, and he just started to open up to me, and like he was like, if I don't drive 12 hours today, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm going to be kicked out. And to be in a position where I can just like his rent, like money towards your rent, is like, I would have been like, I need that, or that could be, because I gave him $100, right? And I was like, that could have been a massage for me, or that could have been whatever else, selfish. And I was always like you, I wanted to hold on to it, because in theory, like when I was trading time for money, or even just knew what my limit was, I was like, I'm only getting X amount in, my bills are this much, I need to hold on to this to save for something.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be like that. But yet I was going out on the weekend, spending it on drugs and alcohol and whatever else, which was an investment apparently, but you didn't get anything back. And so even now I'm at a point where everything's going well in my life, and that's not always going to stay like that. But I'm also like, okay, how can I make the income that I'm earning work for me, or what do I need to invest in to keep leveling up? Because to me, I don't want to become complacent, because I know what it's like. You mentioned what my post said. It's like, I know what it's like to have to not like to go through that whole experience where you don't have money, shit's bouncing. Right? I had to live off my, like, ask my parents for money, do all that sort of stuff, and it's not a fun place to be in.
No.
And I also am so mindful that my current lifestyle could be taken away from me at any point. So I don't want to be this showboating, externally motivated dick either.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm at a place where everything that I earn, I want to obviously, you know, look after myself and do all that sort of stuff. But I'm like, okay, how can, you know, it's the law of circulation. Like, how can I give to others? Because it's super rewarding like that. Because you know, it's like people who listen to your podcast are going to be so thankful for you, Jeremy, because you're passing on your experiences and knowledge. Whereas 5 years ago, I never had that, and you probably didn't have that either. So you're doing the same thing right now, even though it's, you know, you talk about money as energy or a currency. Giving your time to interview myself or interview other people is still a form of currency. And that's why I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to break through that, because I think even where this is going, like people who don't have money, and when I didn't have money, I did shit for free, or wanted to learn from people and didn't have the resources to invest. So I was like, I'll shadow you, or I'll learn from you. I'll have conversations with you to learn. Yeah. And that's how I started, literally.
Totally. It's that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to replicate it, right? So you just need to find the right influences in your life, you know, the right people to surround yourself with. And that's so huge as well, isn't it? But just touching back on some of those points with money, like it's like what Robert Kiyosaki says, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like brilliant resource for anybody, you know, that wants to just level up when it comes to financial stuff. You know, the way that he describes investing, you know, investments and assets versus liabilities, and the whole thing, like most of us have it twisted what a liability and an asset is and are. And so many of us are spending money on the wrong things, you know, and it's just like, he's so right. You know, he's always talking about investing in self. And it's that in itself is the biggest investment you can possibly make. Surely the greatest asset that we have is the upskilling and leveling up of ourselves as human beings, because what else can continue to pay over the course of our life? Pay dividends. Like he's
that book should be given at school for one.
It's 100%.
But we do, and this goes for health and well-being as well, and finance. Like if you're not looking after your mind and body, like how do you expect to ever look after yourself in a holistic way or earn the finances that you want to earn, right? And it's crazy. I ran a men's health night the other night, and a guy bought a car, like an expensive ass car. And I'm like, well, do you have everything else in place to afford that? Because to me, a car is a luxury.
Yeah, and it's 100%.
Huge liability. Like I don't have a car. I don't see the value in it.
Yeah.
Because once again, you could buy a car for $40,000, or you could keep that $40,000 and invest it in something, or in yourself for one, or in something to make you money.
Isn't it strange how people consider investing in themselves a waste of money because it looks like it's going on nothing, because you don't get anything tangible in return? You know, it's like we're so obsessed with this idea that we save up and create this wealth and this money and give it away for things, you know, for something. But really, like the best money I've ever spent in my life has been either on investing in myself or travel, which is investing in myself. You know, like I have all these bullshit stories in my head about me with money, and yet I managed to save up 30 grand and I went backpacking for 6 months and I blew it all. But fuck, I learned a lot about myself and I had a brilliant time and I would never take it back. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like short on that, like the other large investments that I've made in my life have generally been personal development courses or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, this is things that I now have within me. Like if I think of myself as a sports car, they're modifications that I've made of like boosting myself.
That's actually a good way of looking at it. Really good way.
Ex-mechanic.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But it's exactly that. Like people aren't where they're at in their life, and one of the things that, like, I was obviously a chippy as well, but I see people going on strike for earning more money. But in my opinion, and obviously I don't know all the circumstances around all this, but I'm like, why don't you, instead of marching the streets in protest, why don't you, and obviously there's circumstances, but to me from the outside looking in, why don't you start upskilling? If you want to earn more money, upskill, add more value to people, add more value to your employer, add more value to the people around you. And that's how you're going to earn more money, by 100%. Protesting, carrying on. And it goes back to people, and I did this. I'm 100% guilty of this. I used to be such a negative person and have that scarcity mindset that the only way I could act out what I really felt was through aggression or through bagging out people or saying, oh, he fucking inherited that, or he didn't work for that. Like I was just in denial.
Yeah.
Right? And when I stopped focusing on the people who had everything I wanted in terms of how they got lucky, and started being like, right, well, that if you hang around them, you can actually see that they're incredible human beings. They don't talk about people the way we talk about people. They don't bitch and moan. They're focused on adding value or doing things that, you know, mean something to them.
Yeah.
That's when I started having that perspective shift to be like, well, maybe the way to do this is to upgrade myself. And I don't know whether you were at a point in your life where you didn't think you could change, because there was a point in my life where I was just like, this is everyone in my environment's this way.
Yeah.
And there came a time for me, like when I never earned more than, I don't know, I never made fuck all money. And I had one mate who made a heap of money, and he'd always pay for stuff. Like he was on the mines. And I was like, fuck, that'd be cool. And the only way I thought I was good enough to make a lot of money was to go to the mines.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it never once crossed my mind that I could actually upskill myself as a person and learn new skills. Like I was either a tradie or a footy player. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely relate.
Yeah. And I think there's so many dudes, especially, and ladies, that if you're listening to this, you can literally decide whatever it is you have an interest in this day and age, thanks to the iPhone or whatever phone you're on. Most of us can make a business or a career out of something we're super passionate about. The thing is, you're here right now, and where you want to be or how you're going to make an income out of that, there's a gap you need to fill.
Yeah.
And that's where the work comes in. That's where the upskilling, the investing in mentors, events, podcasts. And once again, when you invest in mentors or events, that might be a financial outlay, but listening to podcasts is free, right? It's a
Yeah.
time. Hanging around people like myself or Jez is a time investment, or it might be get out of your comfort zone and reach out to us. But there's
Exactly. Yeah,
always
absolutely.
other forms of investment you can do to hang around people who are doing or have the skills that you want to learn to then become the person you want to be, to bridge that gap to them earn the money that you want to get out of the rut that you're in.
Totally. It's amazing. Like there's so many free resources out there. It's phenomenal between like YouTube and the podcasts app and like all of this stuff, so much free stuff. And it's so very true that, you know, more minds are better than one. Always. More minds are better than one. All it takes sometimes is a slight shift in perspective. Like literally that can be the key to unlocking something that you would never have seen coming and you would have no idea of how to unlock before. It can just take one person's slightly different angle for you to go, you know, I've got like something. You can just resonate with someone who's done something that you want to do or whatever. And you can go, oh, they're like me. They did that. You know,
Exactly.
I've had that. You know, like I'm a massive fan. I don't know if you know Aubrey Marcus, but I'm a massive fan of Aubrey Marcus. Right.
Yep.
And for me, like I went back to the start of his podcasts and listened to his early day podcasts when On It was a baby, you know, all this stuff. And he's so relatable. Like he was just a young dude trying to make a difference. And it's like, when I see that and when I see where he is now and all I see between is just commitment, focus, and consistency, you just go, okay, it buffers you up. You know, it pumps you up. You go, okay, all right. He just had a vision. He's had a vision and he just went for it and he just kept working and he didn't know all the answers at the beginning. He had no idea. He just figured it out.
People spend time getting ready to get ready and trying to
solve
that they don't even have in their life yet. Like, how about let's just get started and whatever pops up, we'll overcome that when it comes up, rather than dealing with this basket of shit that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah.
And that's why I feel like a lot of people that I coach and people that I know that are stuck where they're too busy in playing in that field. And it's like, just get started. Like literally take that first step to whatever it is you need to do. You'll figure it out. Like the fact that you can move your finger or you can, you've got access to a computer means you're well ahead of so many other people. So just fucking get started, Google, listen to podcasts, and you'll start figuring it out. But then you're going to start niching down like on how you can make more revenue from it, or you can get yourself more lifestyle balance, or whatever it is that you're ultimately looking for. You're not going to find it unless you start doing it, like taking the action.
Exactly. It's I don't know how many times I've said this in my life, but it's amazing how the universe works when you just start taking action, when you just start moving. You don't have to have an idea of exactly where you're going, like you just have to have a direction, some vague direction. Just start moving, because with each step, the fog disperses a little more, and the next step becomes obvious, and then, and that just repeats itself. But I want to jump back quickly to money, because I know this is on topic, but it's also sort of branching out a little bit. And I thought, we're doing these, but that's all good. I thought I'd talk a little bit about pain points and these limiting belief systems around money and sort of where they come from. And maybe we can brainstorm a couple of ideas of like ways that people can help to try and overcome those. So I know for me, a huge one, and it's the most irrational, absurd belief. And I don't know why I have it, but it's this thing of no one in my immediate family has been successful with money, so I can't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that comes up for me every time I take a step and I'm trying to punch through that wall. A voice in the back of my head goes, yeah, but your dad was a failure financially. Yeah, but your brothers are not doing so well financially. Yeah, but this person, all these people in my family that haven't done well with money. And it's like, they're not me. So why do I believe that?
Exactly. I was about to say that, and it was like, that's the key thing is if you start comparing yourself to someone who's not you, then you it's like the grass is always greener. You're not focusing on your own piece of grass. And
Mm-hmm.
what it takes to, it's like, for me, and I was the same. And it's also like you always hear money doesn't grow on trees. So then what does that stop you doing? It stops you spending money and giving. And I was fortunate, like my girlfriend and her family is so kind and giving. And to me, when I saw how generous they were, I was like, the fuck?
What?
Like, man, give me that. Give me that. Like, I was in such a mindset that it was mind blowing.
Of lack. Yeah.
I didn't have that abundant mindset. So I think it comes back to, and this is what I've always believed, is like, if anything's going to happen, I have to make it happen. So the moment you start comparing, whether it's for a good reason or for a bad reason, it takes away from you working on yourself. Like when I retired and moved back from France for rugby, I stopped watching rugby altogether. I literally only probably started watching sport again 2 years ago.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, these guys are all living their dream and I'm not living mine anymore. So I can either watch them doing that, which is cool, or I can stop that and fucking get my shit sorted.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
love
exactly
that.
what I've done. And it's what I do. And don't get me wrong, I still catch myself comparing, but then I go, okay, they're not worried about me.
They're doing them.
What do I need to be doing? Or what would a successful version of myself be doing right now? What would I be focused on thinking about? And that's what I always bring myself back to.
Yeah.
It's like, can I give something to someone? Can I, and I run my own business, so I can always find a way to do that. But when I was an employee, it was like, all right, well, how can I work more hours if overtime's not available? What can I do to add more value? And that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to add more value by reading.
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that. But that whole mindset of getting stuck into, my parents didn't have this, so I can't. It's a full on shift, and start thinking about, your parents didn't, but this person did. And it's like you said before, you meet people and you're like, well, if they can do it, I can as well.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. That's huge. Like for me, social proof is massive, right? Like massive. When you can relate to another human being on a human level, when you're like, okay, you are me living a different life, as Aubrey always says. And you have broken past that glass ceiling or whatever, and create this for yourself. When you can relate to their beginnings, then it helps you to relate to the possibility of their outcome for yourself. So for me, it's hugely about environment and the people, nature versus nurture. Like this is a nurture thing. You like find an environment that's going to nurture you and help you step into the shoes of somebody who can be successful financially, if that's the goal here. So whether that's reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts, finding the right people, like go out there and find people that have done what you want to achieve with money and ask them questions. Most of them are really happy to talk to you. That's what I've found. The guys that have made the money, they're happy to share. They'll tell you all about their failures. Like all about all the struggles they went through.
And the best thing I found with that as well is like, they tell me stuff that I didn't even think about. And I was like, that makes sense. That's probably why I shouldn't waste time doing that, or I should start doing this. And then you're like, it's almost like people want the shortcuts, but the shortcuts come in taking the work and networking and asking questions and putting yourself out there. That's the shortcut.
The shortcut is the long cut.
Yeah.
Literally, like the shortcut is the hard stuff. Like go through the shit that you don't want to, where you find the most resistance, and that's going to be the shortest part.
And for whatever reason, and it blows my mind. And I was conditioned this way as well, why I was always looking for the shortcut, or why I didn't have that self-belief. But the moment, like, if you're going to compare yourself against, to my response to what you were saying, like if you're going to compare yourself to people as to why you can't do it or why you shouldn't do it, start comparing yourself to people who have done it and be like, well, fuck it. If they've done it, it's perspective shift.
Yeah, exactly. Go from why you can't to why you can.
I don't even think about the reasons why I can't do it now. Even though it's taking longer than, like, to be honest, when I started my entrepreneurial, I thought I was going to earn $1 million in 12 months.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Because we all attach to the success, the overnight success stories, and we, for some reason, disassociate with and ignore the grinding success stories. You know, the stories of the people that made it happen, but made it happen over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, longer.
Even longer, yeah.
Yeah, longer.
And
yeah.
I've seen, like, I've had people come in and out of my life during this entrepreneurial journey who were just as pumped up as I was, and brought more energy and had these cool ideas and had the, 6-7 figure income businesses that they were going to do and all this sort of shit. And then they're not here.
Yeah.
They're not doing it.
Yeah. That's huge.
And it's like, I don't know what stops us, because I've never stopped, not once over the last 5 years. Like, and trust me, I've gone up and then fucking crashed right back down and been like, well, maybe I should quit. But that's where, once again, going back to having a good environment, they're like, nah, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
And then you pick yourself back up, but you also learn a lot, and you learn a lot of resilience from that whole process to then moving yourself forward. But it's, I don't even know where I was going with that now. No, fully lost it. Sorry, guys.
Just like sticking with it, like committing to the whole process.
Sorry, going back to what you were saying with the people who are looking for the quick fixes, is like there is no such thing, and there's everyone's at a different stage in their journey, right? You and I at a bit different stages. People who are listening to this at different stages, and we all come into this with different skill sets, different beliefs, all that sort of stuff. And to get the finances that you want, it takes a real, like, having an honest talk to yourself and look at yourself and be like, this is my weaknesses, this is my flaws. Because one of my big weaknesses right now is checking doing my BAS and all that sort of shit. I hate doing that.
Yeah. Who does? Who likes it?
I had this money mindset because every time I used to check in my bank account, I had no money, or I was overdrawn, or I had a bill coming. So I learned to just not look at that.
Yeah.
But now it's like I have to be on top of that for the other reason, because I got fucking tax to pay, BAS to pay, all different accounts going on. But I still I've conditioned myself to that. Don't fucking worry about it. And then my accountant's on my back being like, mate, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Because I still get scared to turn on my banking and be like, there's nothing in there.
Yeah. How isn't this something, right? Like something, and it's something I know, but then there's knowing, and then there's knowing. There's two types of knowing. But when you become quote unquote successful and you start to make more money, like, people often, I think, forget that as things escalate in our lives, but the polarity escalates. It's not just everything gets easier and everything gets more fun and you're making more money and life's a breeze. Like, income comes up, expenses, traumas, responsibilities, like they raise on par, and you forget this. And so it's important to remember in life that if you do want to be quote unquote successful, it's never an easy journey. This is about growth. It's like the more self-work you can do and the more work on developing your overall package as a human being, like, the more successful you can be. And it's going to be a continuous learning journey, and it's going to be difficult, and there's going to be all sorts of trials and tribulations along the line. But in parallel with that, the highs are going to be so much higher as well. It's like the duality thing.
Everything's enhanced. And I was literally having this conversation this morning. I was like, I thought I'd be so much happier than I literally thought when I got to this point, I was going to be exactly like you said. Like, I've been chasing it for 5 fucking years, and then it happened. Like, the overnight success happened, and I don't feel any different as a person. So now my thing is like, well, before I want to even earn any more, do anything more, it's like, how do I get my life balanced out so that I have complete fulfillment and, all the currencies, if you look at it, in play. And if I was giving advice to myself 4 years ago, I'd be like, well, what does the overall life look like for you? Like, your time available, the people you hang around, the flexibility, all that sort of stuff when you do this. Because when you hit that benchmark, it's hard to change shit if you're earning the type of money. And most people I was the same. I was like, it's $1 million for whatever reason. I don't know why I was drawn to $1 million.
Just a round number. Yeah.
It sounds cool.
It's an attractive number. Yeah.
It is. And then because I got a business coach, my business coach was like, well, why $1 million? What's it going to give you? And I was like, it's probably a great question. And one of the activities he got me to do was spend some time to write down all of the things I would spend my money on, like on a week, and like go outrageous. Like I have an island, boats. I'm giving like $1,000 a week to my children in savings, and I have all of this stuff. And my wildest dreams, literally wildest dreams. I recommend you guys do it.
That's a really good exercise. I'm going to do it because I haven't done it in that detail.
It literally, like, my list is huge, like islands, owning a gym, owning property, my expenses. Just, I have $1,000 a week. I just want to spend on fun shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is, but it's just the blow me money.
Yeah.
Right. So I have all of this stuff, and it only came to, and to me, I say only, it only came to $17,000 a week. No, 14 or 17,000. So it's like just over 600 or just under $700,000 a year.
Oh,
Not
wow.
even $1 million.
Wow.
And that gives me, and when I did it, and obviously Google pricing, find some ideal houses that you want, whatever, go into full detail, because then you get the emotional attachment to it. Now I know what I'm working for.
Why is it that no one gives themselves permission to pursue their greatest dreams and goals in life? Why is it that we immediately write that off?
I think because we've been thrown in that box from the start, and it's like everyone in that box is playing small. Like in that hierarchy, or however you want to look at it, there's only one person at the top most of the time. Everyone else is not making it. Or everyone who's at the top is pushing them down. And it's like, we live in a world now where we literally have the ability to do whatever the fuck we want and earn whatever we want.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we have to recondition ourselves to be like, that's available to me. I just got to figure out how to do it. People aren't pushing people away anymore. Or in the entrepreneurial space, I see collaboration as one of the greatest things.
Oh man. Yes, absolutely.
Whereas,
huge.
Yeah. In the traditional space, it's like, oh, there's only one spot as CEO. We're going to do whatever backstabbing stuff we can do to get to the top. And it doesn't create healthy relationships, or there's a lot of people lose their integrity and they don't feel authentic, but it's the only way to achieve what they want to achieve. So I get why they do that.
Exactly. That tribal, way of life of for the good of all, like so underrated, man. Like we're so much stronger together.
Yep.
We're tribal beings, and like together we're just stronger. We're just better. So why is there this tall poppy syndrome that's so prevalent in Australia for one, but many other countries? Always got to one up. Yeah, always got to one up the guy next to you, right?
Do you feel it? I feel it's exposing ourselves. Like it was like when I used to see successful people, I would bring them down purely because I felt shit about myself, or I felt like they couldn't get there with it, just by being unique themselves or good enough themselves. I was like, I never put the trust in other people that they could actually be that phenomenal because I felt shit about myself. Yeah. That's what that's why I feel I did it. And I feel maybe some people can relate. It's like, it was just my own reflection coming out. I was like, I didn't have any self-worth. And if I don't have any self-worth, I don't expect them to. So they didn't get there by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me if you agree. But like if you grow up in doing it, like let's say doing it tough, or in a middle-class family or a lower-class family, you see people with money, and it's like it's drilled into you from a young age, because you probably hear it from your parents, from people around you, whatever. Oh, money isn't everything anyway. Money isn't important, and it's like it cultivates this belief system in your head that money isn't important. And while I am a believer that money isn't the answer to everything in the world, that there's so much more to life than that, how can you expect to be in a position where you're going to attract financial wealth and stability into your life if you have a mindset of money isn't everything, money's not important, these rich pompous pricks? We have to learn to love and accept and desire money and to respect it. You know, you have to love it. If you want something, you've got to love it. You've got to invite it in.
You got to ask for it. Yeah.
You've got to ask for it.
And it's such people don't have the financial conversations. Like
No.
it's just, we don't have the discussions about it. People don't talk about when they're struggling financially.
Yeah.
It's taboo, but it's
Isn't
fucking, it's probably up there with the number one most important thing to people, or what they're fucking striving for every single day.
Yeah.
Most people don't have their jobs, but they're still going there because they get paid. Yet we're not talking about financial struggles. We're not talking about how we can get our money working for us. We're not talking about how we can collaborate to make more of it, or to ease financial pains or burdens. We're not talking about any of that.
Yeah. We don't talk about what Robert Kiyosaki says, you know, leveling up our financial intelligence.
Yeah.
We're not taught. Like, why don't schools teach how to invest? You know, how the difference between an asset and a liability, like these basic core principles around money that is so important that none of us have a fucking clue about. Like, I'm 27 years old. I almost don't know the first thing about investing because I was never taught any of it.
Exactly.
You know, like,
hasn't really served a purpose.
Totally. You want to learn about this stuff, you have to go in yourself. You got to dive in yourself.
Have to dive in yourself. And it's unfortunate, but it's once again taking responsibility and looking at where you're at. And it's hard to do. The hardest thing for me was accepting where I was at.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man, it's a big, bitter pill to swallow, to be like, I'm not living up to the expectations I had for myself, or people had for me, or what a man should be, or any of that. And just like, fuck it, this is where I am. You hit rock bottom eventually.
Yeah.
For me, it was rock bottom.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I can't get any worse here.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm just going to be open and transparent about everything, and let's just go for it.
Let's go. Yeah. Dude, I mean, I had an experience like that the other day, man. I went on a date and I'm not in the position to be able to afford to pay for food for two people, you know, like money's it's a struggle. It's a shitty area for me.
Yeah.
I have a huge amount to offer. Like, I know that I'm a great person. I have a lot to offer, but money isn't one of those things. And that causes me a lot of pain, you know, like, to be the man as society expects you to be in that situation, and to, you know, not be able to just shout her that meal or whatever it is like, oh, that hits home. That hurts.
Yeah.
To go out and like eat, even if it's just with family, and to always have to pick from the cheap end of the fucking menu, or be constantly checking your bank account to make sure you can afford to eat out in the first place, is damaging.
I fucking remember I know that feeling. And it's exactly that, but mate, I love the fact that you're being on here open and vulnerable and talking about it, because at the first 3 years when I was really struggling, like in my entrepreneurial journey, and I was not talking about it.
Yeah.
I fucking did it for 3 years. And everything was a struggle. Like, it was exactly that. It's like, I got into this point where I was like, I fucking hate birthdays, I hate Christmas, because I just make up whatever excuse, but it was because I was like, fuck, I can't afford to buy presents.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want people to buy me presents because I can't give anything back. So then you feel like rubbish.
Yeah. Totally.
But at the same time, it's like, to me, that was rock bottom. It's like, I think, and it's almost like a whole nother conversation, but where you get to a point where you go on a date and you can't afford to pay for both things, it's like, this is going to be an incredible point into your journey to find the right girl, someone who respects your vulnerability and authenticity, and then supports you for that, rather than being someone who's like, oh, he's got a bit of money. Like, I think it also works.
Yeah.
It's perspective shift. You're going to have good people in your life because you're going to have people who've seen you at your worst.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You're most vulnerable.
Totally agree. And that is definitely a topic on itself, like just talking about attracting, you know, the right person, and that maybe they shouldn't be expecting you to do this or that. But that, like, just for the sake of the argument, like, the point there is just that it empowers you and it does make you feel strong and like a man when you can do those things.
100%.
Yeah.
I heard
not to mention the fact that you just want to, because you want to give, like, you know, it feels good to give.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard something the other day, or I was listening to a study where they're like, between $40,000 a year and $100,000 a year, happiness increases hugely, like
Oh,
exponentially.
did you
But then
post that?
I don't know. I don't think I posted it, but I can't remember where
I feel
maybe
like
I
I
did.
saw that. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
I saw that.
yeah. I can't remember where I saw it. It might have even been on a podcast, maybe Aubrey Marcus. I don't
Mm,
know. Um, but then from 100,000 to 500,000, there's not much of an increase in happiness.
mm,
And I agree with you. Like, since I've been able to
yeah.
not have to look at the menu and be like, oh fuck, I hope she doesn't order that or this. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that takes a lot of anxiety away.
You
That
sure you want the prawns?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that, yeah, massive. Like, just like you said, money's not the answer, but it makes life a lot easier. Even if
Absolutely.
it's just that first, even 80,000 or 100,000, right? It makes a massive difference on just the choice, and gets rid of that anxiety to be like, fuck, I can't even do this basic thing like go to Coles right now.
Yeah.
Like that's what it used to be, right? So to get from there to there, it's like it makes a huge difference on your mental well-being, how you feel as an individual, like your ability to provide. And that's, as men, that's ultimately what we expect. And
Yeah, expect of ourselves. That's what we're by nature driven to do, isn't it? Be the providers.
it's I think it's fantastic that we're having this conversation, because there's so many dudes that won't have this conversation that are in the exact same position
Yeah,
that we're in.
so
Like,
many.
they're just having a conversation.
Mm, mm.
It's like, how do we expect anyone to get out of it if no one's fucking talking about it?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, yeah. And so like we're sort of getting on now. Unfortunately, I feel like we could talk forever,
Yeah.
but to head towards like a bit of a conclusion here, I feel like one of the biggest things for me that I've discovered that is helping to shift my perspective around money at the moment has been completely changing my focus from how can I make money to how can I serve better, right? Like, how can I be of service and be of service doing the things that I love. When those two marry up, it's like magic can start to happen, right? And so I've just gone through this huge journey, and still going through this huge journey of learning about what really makes me feel happy and fulfilled and good within myself. Because I think we all have our interests and our passions and so on, but like finding that thing that really fulfills our heart is a little bit of a journey. You have to sort of figure it out. And it takes some time. Like, it took me years, and I'm still figuring it out. But the closer I get to finding out what exactly that is, and the more time I spend being creative and having fun and figuring out ways that I can teach that through that, and as they become one and start to get closer together, I'm starting to see a way that I can be financially successful through helping others as best I can. And that's sort of the shift that's starting to happen in my head. And I don't by any means know how it's going to happen yet. I do not, but I just am starting to believe.
It's trust in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's being one of those people who are put in the box and be like, yeah, this is paying my bills, but I feel like I'm here for a bit more, to be like, all right, well, I'm in this box at the moment, but I'm going to go exploring. And it's going to, through all the mistake, like, to get to where I am right now, it's been guiding me for 5 years, and I've finally sort of really pinpointed what it was. But along the way, I've been like, maybe it's this, maybe it's it, like, maybe this is how, in terms of coaching and adding value, I'm like, and then I was like, nah, that's not me. That doesn't feel authentic, or that's not working.
Yeah.
And sort of being through all this stuff, and now it's helped me really get clear on what it is. But most people don't even go exploring.
So true. So true.
Like you said, when you can marry that up, and once we live in the best time, because you can literally do whatever you want because of the opportunity. Like, the fact that we're doing this over Skype instead of in person.
Yeah. it's so true. Like you can start a podcast and interview people in America. You know,
Yeah.
like it's so cool. You can just talk to anyone, anywhere. And the like, and opening up the world to us like that opens up unlimited potential even more. Like it just opens up this huge box of potential, that Pandora's box of financial potential, all sorts of potential. It's really exciting. Like we live in such an incredible age. We live in the internet age, and this age of, you know, everything is at our fingertips now. And it's just crazy, kind of like, well, to me it feels crazy that still so few people are sort of getting on the bandwagon. Like it's a slow transition, you know. People are always very slow to jump aboard a new vehicle.
We're in that, like you said, we're in the transition period. In 10 years time, it's normal.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like what we grew up believing was normal, like the normal 9 to 5 corporate thing was normal.
Yeah,
the whole entrepreneurial thing is going to be a lot more normal. More people are going to be working for themselves. They're going to have flexible lifestyles. They're going to be having a better quality of life because people are sick of fucking what's broken. And there's people like yourself who are making a difference, because we don't want to carry on like it's been.
Yeah,
we've had enough, and we've now, like, I believe, as much as I hate social media because it wastes my time.
Me too.
It also gives every single person a voice.
Yeah.
And it's like, everyone loves to tell, and I love Instagram for the fact that I get to tell my story, and it's how obviously we've connected, and you know, connect with me. And not everyone's going to relate with everyone's story, but it gives me the ability to provide advice and value to people who've had a similar experiences to me, and it's given me a voice. But I never would have gotten that before, and I feel good because I've got a voice now.
Yeah, totally. It is self-empowering. So, social media, it does give you a sense of that. It's like, I do have something to say. You know, I do have something that other people can get something out of.
Yeah,
and that feels good.
Fucking oath it does.
Embrace that. Yeah, like embrace what you have. We all have something. We all have a circumstance that someone else in the world can relate to.
100%. And even through that whole process, this is rambling, but like when I started podcasting and doing my posts, I was terrible with grammar, and I swore, but I mumbled. And so along the way, I've had to learn how to not mumble all the time. I've had to learn how to write posts rather than being this illiterate guy who didn't understand the English language. Like I had to, I've overcome a heap of other things that I never would have addressed if it wasn't because I was like, I need to get my message out. I need to help people understand what I'm trying to say without, you know, sounding like a mumbling idiot. So I've had totally personal experience purely because I'm now holding myself accountable through all the avenues that we're like connecting and communicating with people.
Yeah, man, I totally relate to that, dude. I'll be honest with you. I started this podcast because I hit rock bottom last year. I was in a shitty place, right? This podcast for me, it wasn't anything other than a personal growth thing. Like I did this because I needed something in my life to shift. And I thought that by having conversations like this, I could help myself. And if I managed to help other people through it, then like, that's amazing. But this was the thing for me. I felt like I was really poor in articulation, you know, that's a pain point for me as well. I want to get better at that. So I was like, okay, jump through the hoop of fire, you know, get out there, get online where everyone can see it, and force yourself to grow in that department. Like, you know,
mate, you should be so proud of yourself.
It's amazing. I am. I feel incredible. I love it. But you know, as we were talking about before, the long cut and the shortcut, and you know, the shortcut is the hard route. Like, stress test yourself, you know, because that's where diamonds are made. You know, that's how we grow under pressure.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah. Wow. Well, shit, this has been awesome. But I don't know, man. Like, do you have any other sort of final nuggets or wisdom for people in regards to the financial thing we've got? I mean, I feel like I could chat to you for days, so we might have to do another one of these soon. But
yeah, I agree. I want to have you on my show because I'd love to explore more of your story.
Yeah, dude. Epic. Yeah.
I just think we overcomplicate finances. And I think I made it such a pinnacle in my life.
Yeah.
Everything like came back to it, like because I had checked the menu, I was scared to check my bank account. I wanted all these things, but I could never afford it. So everything in the forefront of my mind was money.
Yeah.
That I stopped really focusing on what we had now. And the moment I started, and what I mean in the now, like being fucking present and realizing all the good stuff that we're fortunate enough to have in Australia, especially, but all around the world, most of us who are ever going to listen to this, you've obviously got access to the internet. The moment I started being like, right, like you said before, how can I shift my perspective from how can I make money to how can I add value? That changed everything for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, because I wasn't stressing about money anymore. I was stressing about how am I going to overcome this problem in order to add value. So what do you do when you're focusing on that? You're focusing on growth.
Yeah, so true. Shift your focus. Focus is huge, as The Rock said. Shift your focus. Focus on what's going to assist you in getting where you want to be rather than what's stopping you. It's like so simple when you say it and think it, so hard when you go to do it for some reason.
Exactly that. But that's, I don't, like, through all the emotions and experiences I've been with that, like, if I'd have just kept it simple from the start, rather than focus on how am I going to make more money, just like how am I going to add more value, and then pair that up with something that I can get paid for it, or I can earn an income, it just sorts itself out.
Yeah.
That's really all that changed between who I changed as a person, and it came down to just doing that work, but being persistent with it. And then the money's just, it's come in ways that I didn't even know existed. Like, but I'm like open to it. Like, let it happen.
Let it flow in. It's so true. I think maybe that might be one of the major takeaways here is we put way too much pressure on ourselves financially, and we give money way too much power over us in that sense. There's just so much that rides on it because it does feel like we live in a world that revolves around money, and really money revolves around the world. And it comes and goes like that, like it flows around the world, and you've just got to be open to receiving it and willing to invest it on yourself. That's huge. So like investing on yourself, focusing on being of service to other human beings, and taking a bit of the pressure off, and just remembering to, as you put in your post there, but just like enjoying the simple things, enjoying the living in the present and the now, and not letting it overthrow your mind too much.
100%.
Killer. It's been great, man. What a time.
Having me on, and appreciate the time. It's been good. And when I'm down at the Goldie next, which hopefully will be in the next week or so, we'll catch up. Yeah,
100%, man. We'll do it for sure. So I have a couple of quick questions for you. I always finish the podcast because of questions. I did have one, but I found another one that I like, and now I'm doing two. So first and foremost, what's the single best piece of life advice that you've been given or found?
Oh, man, that is it.
It's a toughie.
Mine is everyone has every interaction we have is an opportunity to learn something you don't know, because everyone's an expert in something that you're not. And the moment I started doing that, this is when I was in a really selfish place, but it made me want to learn from people for selfish reasons, because I could learn new stuff. It gave me a better understanding of the world, understanding of people, and how to work and deal with people. So the moment I just realized that everyone's, I used to judge people and was like, they've got nothing to offer. I don't want to bar of it. Like, don't talk.
Yeah. Now, we close ourselves off so much. Yeah. From so much opportunity. Yeah.
And then you start, like, now I'll start, like, I might even pass that judgment, because I'm not saying I'm perfect and don't judge people. I still do. But I give people the time, and then you start hearing this story that you're like, oh, I did not expect that. And I think that's probably one of the best bit of life advices that I've got now, because it's, I've met so many incredible people and had so many incredible conversations because of that. And I've learned so much about myself and experiences that I've had from those conversations.
Love it. All right. So number 2, What would you say is the single greatest fear or like severe challenge that you've overcome in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Mine was my loss of identity. So my goal was to play professional sport, and obviously when I moved to I didn't mention that on the thing. I played rugby over in France, and when that finished, my whole identity was gone because I'd built my whole life up around being that guy, and people saw me as I hope it was a national level athlete.
Yeah.
In athletics and stuff. So I'd always been a high performer from a sports point of view. So then when that didn't work out, I was like, fuck, who am I?
Yeah.
Like I went through the whole drugs, alcohol, writing myself off because I had no idea who I was. And that's when the whole self-development journey started. And I was like, well, I've already built a life around, I've been to near the top of a life where it's built around external gratification and validation. I'm not going to do that. And that's why I feel like, even though my success has been slower this time, it's right. It feels right for me because it's based around the right reasons, my values and my beliefs. Not about
built on like a solid foundation.
Yeah. It's not about the external stuff that comes and goes. I know if I lost all my money or the relationships, like I know as a person, I'm still confident and comfortable enough in myself to keep moving through and rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would you say that shift came about? Like, how did you find that place to then, leave behind the drugs and the booze and step into this new Lachie?
Yeah, I had a mate who gave me a book. And it sounds really weird because I didn't read it at the time, but he gave me a book.
Four Agreements, yeah. Yeah, I love hearing you talk about this on podcasts because like most boring book ever. And I'm like, yeah, it so is, but it's so good.
But that's legitimately it. There's no, like I had a few bad experiences that probably prompted me to want to read it.
Yeah.
But I read that and that was it. That was what that moment where I was like, well, I'm not doing that or that. And I just read a book. So now let's see what else I can learn. And that was when that whole sort of shift happened. And I was like, here we go.
So I really love that. And it's actually one of the things that made me relate to you more than anything else, because the 4 Agreements was my turning point book as well. It was the one that, yeah. I read the 4 Agreements and then I read The Power of Now. And both of them are the most boring fucking books you'll ever read. And they're so hard to get through, but they contain so much wisdom.
Oh, man.
They just shifted my life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, yeah, that's
that's cool, hey?
I am now.
yeah, awesome.
So much, man.
Yeah, it's epic. Yeah, this is awesome, dude. All right, cool, man. Well, where can people find you? Where can they get a hold of you, etc.?
My website's LachieStewartCoaching.net. Instagram's where I'm definitely most active. It's at Lachlan Stuart, spelled Stuart. That's, to be honest, that's the easiest places.
They're the two.
Sweet. The man that can as well.
Yes.
That's a website, themanthatcan.com, and the Man That Can project Instagram page as well.
Yeah, check out the podcast, The Man That Can, guys. It's epic. I loved it. I've heard some awesome stories. That's where I found old Mike Stewart for the 12-hour challenge. That was epic.
He's a beast. He's
what
such
a weapon. Great human being. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Oh, that's awesome. I'll chuck those links in the description for everyone. And dude, we'll tee up another one of these soon.
Likewise, I'd love to have you on mine. And dude, honestly, keep doing what you're doing, going in the right direction. And I loved your vulnerability, man. And
yeah, thanks, brother. Always open, man. If my pain can help anyone, that's like the biggest blessing for me. Like I really feel like that's going to be one of the areas that I can serve from the most. I'm, if nothing else, I'm very open to being open. So, if that can help people, then that's a blessing.
Yeah, 100%. Legend.
Killer. Well, thanks, brother. It's been good. Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll say goodbye for now, peeps, and catch you in the next one.
Sounds good. See you, brother. Have a good afternoon.
See you, buddy. You too. Thank you so much for tuning in again. If you would like to support the podcast, the best way that you can do that is to leave a review, or if you're watching on YouTube, give it a like and leave me a comment. A huge thank you in advance if you do. I'm extremely grateful. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast as much as I did, and don't forget to tune in next week. New podcasts drop every Sunday. Big love.